So engineering education in Germany is very different from India. Some of our speaker has already talked about it a bit. Today we have Professor Daniel Juhre with us to give a perspective about engineering studies in Germany, difference between universities and Fachhochschule or University of Applied Science, concept of TU9, that is a word used in German system. How is TU9 different from other university or engineering studies? Probably some advices for future students and researchers who are considering Germany. So Professor Juhre is a university professor at Otto von Guricke Universität Magdeburg in Faculty of Mechanical Engineering at Institute of Mechanics. His area of interest is computational mechanics, especially material modeling, fracture mechanics, and innovative simulation methods. His cooperation partners are spanned in several countries, from research institute to industry. Professor Juhre, please.
Yeah, Gautam, thank you for your kind introduction and thanks for your invitation to be a part here of your engineering day. So it's a really nice idea to have such a day. It's not typical in Germany, unfortunately. So I think in Germany, the engineers, although there are quite a lot of them, are not that evaluated like in India. So I'm a bit, yeah, I don't know. I would like to have it also in Germany. Yeah, well, anyhow, yeah, how to come to this invitation was quite nice. We met 2 weeks ago on a conference and we talked about the correlations between Germany, India, and all the internationalizations at the universities also in Germany. We also want to start a new master course next year in computational engineering at our university, and so we come into the discussion that it's a very important thing to really bring the students also from abroad into the system in Germany, and that they are quite it's not that easy for them, of course, to start in Germany with a study on engineering and making it quite complicated if you really have no idea about the culture overall and the expectations. And therefore we said, okay, this will be maybe a nice opportunity to give some insights. Not that much, I have to admit, since we had not that much time to prepare for this talk, but just a brief overview of what you can expect in Germany as an engineering student. Therefore, I maybe start here with this short presentation. Yeah, maybe to start from the very beginning, also some informational points on the landscape, academic landscape of universities in Germany. You will see that we have, of course, not that much higher schools or universities in Germany like in India. Yeah? So it was 10 times more, even more, as I saw in the previous talk. And of course, that makes a huge difference overall due to the number of people who are living here. It's clear. Anyhow, to really understand this landscape, it has to be clearly categorized. Which kind of universities do we have in Germany? On the one hand, the classical universities, you know, as universities as in other countries, is given here with the second most amount of numbers with 108. But you also have maybe already heard about universities of applied sciences. So this is something in Germany coming from the older systems before we had Bologna and all the equalization of master and bachelor. We had as well two different kind of universities, so-called Fachhochschule and the classical university. And the Fachhochschule, what is the German word now for these universities of applied sciences, was always tend to be the universities which are much more closer to industry, and the classical universities more in the field of research. I will come to this later on a slide as well. And you see there are also some very typical things, colleges for art, civil services and so on, which are a bit more special in this field. We have not that much a change within the years. You see more or less the same numbers also here, so quite constant amount of these categories of the universities. However, we have an increase at least on the number of students at all these universities, not only the university itself, but also for applied sciences and so on. You see that we grow more and more, coming to a point of 3 million now. Yeah, also clear less than in India, unless when we talk of 10 times more in India and we would think about the number of inhabitants in Germany and India, it's really a totally difference. So we have a lot of ratio of the people going really to the university in our country. And as you see, it's growing. However, it's not growing only because all the German guys are going there, but it has also another important, crucial aspect, which I want to show you in the next slide. Not this one, but coming to this one is something where we see the most of the students going to, in which directions. You see here, this is now still in Germany, in German, but you see here Betriebswirtschaftslehre. This is something like economics. Yeah? So the most of the people, the students are going into this direction. We have now a huge increase of informatics as well in Germany. So this is growing and growing, maybe due to the generation of YouTube and TikTok and all this stuff. So the people thinking, well, I will also want to do apps and that's my life or something like that. So I think this is something which is even more growing in Germany than in other countries. You see here the law studies, medicine and psychology. And afterwards, then finally, you see also the first engineering part, which is the mechanical engineering. But only, one has to say, we are half, even less than economics. Of course, we have also civil engineering in between, which you find here and so on. But you see the engineers are still available and still present, but it's not the most important field in which we educate our students. This is sometimes also a missing link to what we really need in the industry, because we have a huge lack of educated engineers within Germany, and we have a huge demand of this. And with this, I come also to the point what I already said, still growing number of students, and further on the demand, not only as growing students going then in the industry direction, but also growing students coming from abroad. So meaning from, as here, first part on China, and on the second, I already see your colleagues from India who are coming to Germany to study in Germany, either engineering or different things. Yeah? So this is not only focusing on engineering, but means also for all other subjects. But you see, your country is quite prominent in Germany, and we are also very happy that quite a lot of the students then also finally stay in Germany to help us also to improve, like Mr. Bose already said, that we really have engineers in Germany who are doing fascinating work. Of course, this is very helpful to have them not only from Germany itself, but also from abroad. So that fits in this talk here now, of course, that quite a lot of Indian students are also coming to Germany, and to really understand where to apply, to which university, or even to this so-called universities of applied sciences, I just give a brief information. So not that much. I have only 10 minutes and I want to take my time and just do not want to last too much time for this. But what you have to keep in mind, there's really a difference between these kind of universities, as the UAS, like I call the Universities of Applied Science, as I already said, have more practical relevance, so they are bound close to the industry. So that means nothing else that you really get a more practice-like education that you directly can use in industry for using how to work on machines and so on. Anyhow, of course, it is still a type of education where you have a bachelor and a master. This is very important, still the case. However, the classical universities give a more fundamental education, and of course, due to this, also the ratio of research is much higher at universities. So projects, research projects funded by the German research community and so on, they mostly are focused on the universities, and there, of course, then also, as the point where I have it here already noted, there you would also get even more the possibility to do a PhD, on any kind of research project. So that means most of the PhDs are still coming from universities. It is nowadays changing step by step. So some federal states in Germany are already allowing also these universities of applied sciences to award the PhD. But these are really special universities where the research ratio is increasing, and they also have to show that they have enough competence to award this PhD, and mostly it's also somehow still in cooperation with the classical universities. So if you really also want to focus on the classical research path, then you should try to look for universities in common to apply there for a bachelor or even for a master. So, and just also a thing is, of course, both universities can award a BSc and a BEng, or even an MSc and an MEng. And in Germany, there is not that much a difference between Master of Science and Master of Engineering. The Master of Engineering, of course, is something which is really only focusing on the engineering education. However, most of the German universities, also the technical universities, have chosen to award more the Master of Science, because it is much broader and doesn't restrict the student on an engineering education. Since nowadays also it is the case that in many study programs also soft skills has been established, which also be a part of it, or even part of economics inside and so on. So therefore, the BSc and the MSc is more common in Germany to be awarded as an engineer than maybe in other countries. So if you read, I only get an MSc, not an MEng in Germany, this is not a drawback or something like that. This is only a case that in Germany, historically it has grown that MSc and BSc is given for this. Okay, so that's about the differences of these two kind of universities as a first step. And the next one, as I already mentioned, it is the so-called technical university or universities of technology, and the classical common universities. So there you maybe sometimes find this TU at some very known universities from Germany. And well, the only evidential difference between the both is that they have a different range of offered disciplines. That's more or less the only thing which is really comparing them, or better say, differentiating them into these two type of universities. That means nothing else. TUs have historically offering more technical study programs, of course, engineering-like things and so on. And the common universities are somehow collected, where you can study law, you can study chemists, you can study mathematics, and also engineering study programs, and they are combined together as one university. And then, of course, you are not able to call it anymore a University of Technology. So it doesn't mean anything about that the University of Technology is the better university against common university. It only says it focuses more on these technical programs. Yeah, but anyhow, subconsciously, these TUs seems to be more attractive for engineering students. However, it is not the case. So this is really important to say that the education is not always better at a TU than at a common university if the same study program is offered. Then another known name is the TU9. So this is also a consortium of the 9 oldest universities of technology. So at least they were all established before 1900. So that means nothing else. With this focus on technology programs, they were all quite early within the history of Germany. However, this is more or less the only thing which is also then again dividing this from the other TUs or the other universities. However, they are identifying themselves as the leading universities in technology and relevant fields. And well, one could maybe see also when you have any statistics about the most important or the most amount of funding from industry or even also from research companies. It could be this case that these TU9 really get the most funding opportunities due to the fact that they try to get the best professors to the universities. However, it is not always the case. So also this is something, let me say, wording, which is a kind of brand, but it is not the case that these are really then the only universities with a higher education or something like that. So maybe unlike in India, where you really have this from the government given IIT and so on, the TU9 is really only a consortium which has nothing to do with the quality of the education or even also from the research. That means, finally, if you end up in Germany and you try to improve yourself or getting an engineer in Germany exceptionally, you will always achieve an exceptionally good education regardless of the status of the university. That should be the case, that you keep this in mind when you think about coming to Germany, that it's not necessary to be a part of the TU9 or something like that. It's really important sometimes to check even more important rankings where you can find also the quality of the education, and for the students who are there listing your universities, it's even more important maybe to have a huge and a very good education than to know that their professor has 100 research projects, because mostly if he has so much, he's not really taking care that much about the education maybe on the students, because he has no time for that. So it's something which has to be evaluated by itself. So, and therefore maybe just one further hint, if you would like to come to Germany and you want to think about how is this university, maybe to get a first idea, you can find a ranking, a very official and serious ranking in Germany of the universities, which is controlled by the newspaper 𝗘heit, so Times, like the Times in England. And this one gives a 𝗘 ranking, so it's called 𝗘he. And this gives you the possibility, for example, I ranked this, the ranking for the mechanical engineering. You can see what also the students are meaning about the status of the university and how they feel in the university. Yeah, when you, for example, look here, the overall study situation, meaning what the students are mean to be very good or not that good, if they are feeling comfortable in this university or something like that, that you can find here in these kind of listings. And you see the listing is given here from 1 very good to not that good, let me say, with bad thing is 6, of course, and there you find also the prominent universities, like RWTH Aachen. Yeah? So let me say here you see a middle group overall study situation. That means it's not that nice evaluated by the students. Yeah, maybe also due to the fact they really have quite a lot of engineering students, and of course, if you have that much students, the ratio of a professor per student is of course worse, even dramatically worse. So that means you do not get into contact with these professors, maybe, and that's of course also an important impact on if you choose to go there or not. You know? If we go scroll through it, for example, you see also TU, Braunschweig, and so on. And finally, just as a nice voting for also my university, the Uni Magdeburg, which is the Otto von Guericke University, has, in this case, for example, the best mark for the student meaning for being there at the university and feeling comfortable in their situation as a student. Yeah, so this 1.8 is not topped by any of the TU9s or any other universities. You see 1.9 for TU München, which is also very known, but there we are even better with this. Yeah, so don't think always about the name of the universities, but maybe look for something like that to have an idea of the students' meaning, giving you even better insight on how to evaluate where you have to go to or want to go to. Overall, in Magdeburg, another point, you have a huge Indian community, and when you come to Magdeburg, I think you will at least feel quite like home from the people around, not with the weather, I have to admit, because now already it's starting to get very cold, and you have to get used to this different climate change, of course. And anyhow, it's a nice way to go to Germany, and a lot of experience you can get there. So with this, well, I would come to an end. I know I took too much time. Sorry, Gautam, but it was the first time I tried it in that way. So maybe next time I'm improving and getting it in a better time schedule. If you have any further questions, you can just click here or scan this one. You get onto my site on my internet page, and then you can contact me directly as email or phone or as you like. So thanks for being here, and have a happy Engineering Day.